Indie Mogul.
Welcome to this week's Movie Math. Here are today's headlines. The latest news on a Last Airbender sequel, the legacy of Tron merchandise, Jeffrey Katzenberg shows Wall Street how it should be done, and of course, the weekend box office. Now let's get started. Last Airbender fans are on pins and needles awaiting news of a movie sequel. And one of the most pressing questions is, will M. Night Shyamalan continue on as director? While his passion got the movie made in the first place, his lack of passion on screen let many fans down. Financially, things are not looking great. The Last Airbender has grossed $127 million domestically and $39 million abroad for a total gross so far of $166 million. Now, the studio only gets half of that, which means Paramount is a long way from recouping their $280 million that they spent on the movie. But one has to admit, it's pretty impressive that what many feel is such a dog of a movie could even make that much money. Paramount certainly has to realize there's gold in the Airbender fan hills. Now, how do they reach the mother lode? Well, one way is a brand new animated sequel to the original series. Yes, it's been announced that The Legend of Korra will premiere in 2011 on Nickelodeon and tell the story of the next Avatar after Aang. Taking place 70 years after the original animated series, Korra is a rebellious teenage girl from the Southern Water Tribe and the new Avatar. She has already learned to bend fire, earth, and water, but now must learn airbending from Aang and Katara's son, Tenzin. The story takes place in the New Republic City, a steampunk-type place where crime runs rampant and an anti-bending revolution is taking hold. And while the new series focuses on a new character, I'm sure our old favorites will show up in flashbacks, and of course, Aang will offer advice a la Roku. This will all be done by the same creative team behind the original series, but they say that while the new series will still have a sense of fun and adventure, it will also be more mature. So it looks like all this airbending movie business is reaping one heck of a silver lining after all, giving us perhaps what we really wanted all along, the continuation of one of the best animated series of all time. One of the coolest things I saw at Comic-Con last week was all the amazing Tron Legacy merchandise. From Tron-style headphones to gaming controls to Adidas sneakers to action figures, they literally have something for everybody who wants to sport a light-up blue line somewhere on their person or surroundings. I sure do. Yes, I have Tron Fever, which is the whole idea of Disney's 3-year rollout for Tron Legacy. The New York Times featured an article this week talking about the new way movies are being marketed. See, thanks to DVRs, nobody really watches commercials anymore, so the internet has become the de facto Hollywood marketing arena. But since commercials aren't too popular on the internet either, gossip and breaking news are the new tools of the trade. That leaked trailer or bit of casting news, the studio might very well have done it on purpose. And that's also why Comic-Con has become so popular. The coverage of the convention was ubiquitous this year across the internet and TV, with even Time Warner Cable's Movies on Demand service sporting its own section of Comic-Con coverage. All this publicity creates a perfect storm of awareness for a film like Tron Legacy, or last year's Avatar, another blue-hued, ambitious 3D movie that came out on IMAX last December. While it remains to be seen if Disney has another Avatar on their hands, they've certainly succeeded in, as the New York Times put it, turning their movie into a cultural event. And that's the kind of world I'm happy to be living in. How about you? If you followed the recent Wall Street scandals, you heard about the huge salaries and bonuses the fat cats were taking for themselves, even when they did their jobs poorly. Oh, if only they had some moral compass, some self-imposed discretion. But what kind of person can truly afford integrity when they have access to the company bank account where removing a couple $100 million barely makes a dent? Jeffrey Katzenberg, that's who. Katzenberg's annual salary, $1. His bonuses, which are much more than $1, are tied to the performance of DreamWorks Animation stock. And so far, Katzenberg has earned his bonuses as DreamWorks Animation burns up the box office tracks with hit after hit. But DreamWorks Animation walks just as fine a line as Katzenberg does, since they are an independent studio with no parent company to back them up on a bad day. In fact, many wonder when the day will come when DreamWorks Animation is folded into one of Hollywood's behemoths, or Death Stars, as Katzenberg would say after his sour experience at Disney. Although, it was that Disney experience that gave him enough money to be able to work for $1 a year and be cool with it. The box office continues to be haunted by Christopher Nolan's dream movie. For the third week in a row, Inception claimed the #1 spot, falling a scant 35%. Inception is close to surpassing Batman Begins' box office haul and is leagues ahead of Nolan's other non-Batman films. Hey, you scratch Batman's fans' backs, they'll scratch yours. Inception is now also Leonardo DiCaprio's most successful film, after Titanic, of course. As for Paramount and DreamWorks, they must have felt like schmucks when their new comedy failed to open at #1. However, its $23 million debut was on par with both Steve Carell and Paul Rudd's usual box office openings. But with a budget of just $69 million, nobody is going to leave the table hungry with those kinds of numbers. In third place was Salt, which continues to walk the fine line between success and disappointment. Falling 46% from its opening weekend, where it also failed to unseat Inception for the #1 spot, the Angelina Jolie spy flick looks to perform like most of her movies. They burn hot and fast. But while Salt is performing behind the movies where Jolie had a strong male co-star, it certainly looks to do the same business as the Firstborn movie, and we all know how that turned out. So while the book is still not closed on a potential Salt franchise, it hasn't been written either. Despicable Me came in at #4, holding nicely with another $15.5 million. Costing as much to make as Dinner for Schmucks, Despicable Me has now stolen $190 million from moviegoers, but I don't think any of them are going to complain. It wasn't exactly raining cats and dogs this weekend, but there was a pleasant sprinkling as the movie opened with $12.5 million. While Cats and Dogs 2 can be counted on to do hefty DVD business down the line, that's still a disappointing opening as it's about half of the debut of the original movie. And it looks like Zac Efron is in that same doghouse as Charlie St. Cloud opened with about half the haul of 17 again. As for the rest of the box office, some of the year's most successful movies only got more successful, with one glaring exception. And that's this week's box office. But before I end this episode, I'd like to announce that I'll be doing a special episode where I answer your questions. Thanks to YouTuber Cryptic Warfare for the idea, and please send your questions to grace@indiemogul.com. The episode will go up toward the end of this month. Now, without further ado, thanks for watching this week. I'm Grace Randolph, and we just did some movie math.
Subscribe, comment, rate it.